Just because you start the ball rolling doesn't mean you're responsible for where it ends up. This is going to be one of the reasons that you are given today as to why Yerba Buena is responsible for Marie Fitzgerald's death by the prosecution. My name is Tess Shubert, and I represent the defense, Yerba Buena, in this matter. Joseph Fitzgerald is bringing this claim against Yerba Buena because he wants someone to be held responsible for his mother's death, and we don't blame him. We understand, we sympathize with him. We lost Marie just like he did. However, let me get back to what I was saying about getting the ball rolling. Let me explain a little further. Say we have person Y, who starts the ball rolling towards point G. But on its way to point G, person S comes along and takes control of the ball. Instead, pushes the ball to point D. Who is responsible for the ball reaching point D? Person Y or person S, who took over control halfway through? Let's start back at the beginning. Joseph Fitzgerald sent his mother to Yerba Buena whenever she was about 71 years old. He believed that she would really enjoy the companionship that Yerba Buena offered, and she would benefit from the help because she was having trouble getting around her house, getting up the stairs, just getting around and doing things on her own. So he sent her to a residential care facility for the elderly, or an RCFE is what you'll hear it called today, Yerba Buena. For 4 years, Yerba Buena loved Marie. She was the life of Yerba Buena. You'll hear everyone today say that she was loved by the nurses, the attendants, the other residents. She loved having people to talk to. She loved having people to gossip with. She had people there to help her, and the help was there, so she utilized that help. Sometimes they would help her bathe. They would help her cut up her food. And sometimes they would help her out of bed whenever those mornings came when she just wasn't feeling herself. And for 4 years, Marie Fitzgerald was the life of Yerba Buena. But in that last year at Yerba Buena, things started to get a little harder. As we know, getting older isn't easier, and watching those ones you love get older is even harder. But that's what happened to Marie Fitzgerald. In late November, Marie Fitzgerald started having problems. She was having more trouble getting in and out of bed, so she was spending a lot more time in her wheelchair, and she was laying down in bed a lot because her legs just weren't working like they used to. She needed a little help cutting up her food more than usual. And usually they would help her get ready in the morning and, take her showers and take her baths. They were doing their job. However, today you will hear experts testify, as well as most of you probably already know, the common fact that whenever you get older, your skin gets thinner. It's just a natural process of aging. You'll hear many experts testify today about the different processes and different stages of bed sores and the different skin and how it changes whenever you get older. This is what happened to Marie Fitzgerald. When you add in an increased amount of sitting time, plus getting a little older, your skin gets thinner, you come to a bed sore, a common bed sore, on the back and buttocks of Marie Fitzgerald. That's what happened. As soon as the bed sore occurred, Walter Davis, who you will hear from today, the administrator of Yerba Buena, called in an outside nurse. See, Yerba Buena isn't a medical care facility. They can only do so much. You'll hear a lot about Title 22 today. Title 22 is simply the regulations that Yerba Buena must follow as to how much care they can give, which says that they can keep someone up to a stage 3 bed sore, which is what Marie had. So after Marie's bed sore reached a level 2, the nurse was still bandaging her and cleaning it and taking proper care of it. But then it reached a stage 3 on January 13th. Today the prosecution will try and get you to believe that her bed sore had been in a stage 3 for a period of time. See, Title 22 requires you, as you will hear today, to send a resident to a hospital when they have a stage 3 bed sore. However, you will also hear from Joseph, her son, as well as the administrator of Yerba Buena, say that there was no sign of her bed sore being at a stage 3 before January 13th. The prosecution is going to try and paint Yerba Buena as negligent and abusive and careless because they themselves didn't drive her to Yerba Buena. This is simply a case of beating someone to the punch. Joe, as you will hear, got there the morning of January 13th and said his mother just wasn't herself. She just didn't seem right. She was in a lot of pain, so he took her to the hospital. However, you will also hear that he has no reason to believe that Waldo Davis or any of the people at Yerba Buena hadn't planned on taking her to the hospital. He has no reason to believe that had he talked to Waldo Davis or a nurse before he saw his mother, they would have advised him that it was time for her to go to a hospital because it had reached stage 3. Today they will try and say that Yerba Buena was negligent. They were careless. They weren't properly trained. However, you'll also hear that whenever Mrs. Fitzgerald got to St. Teresa Hospital, she simply had a stage 3 bed sore. There was no infection, which is proven that they obviously were taking good care of her. When she was taken to St. Teresa, she was given a good prognosis. So what happened between that good prognosis and March 23rd? St. Teresa happened. St. Teresa Hospital is where she was sent to have him treat her bed sore. However, you will hear and you will see the admission and the discharge charts given by St. Teresa. I want you to pay close attention to the discharge summary from St. Teresa. Today you will see that summary, and you will hear that whenever she left St. Teresa, she had a UTI, she had a staph infection, a raging infection in the ulcer, where she had no infection when she got there. She was dehydrated. She had a stage 5 ulcer. It increased by 2 stages in the 2 months she was there. She was suffering from sepsis and finally respiratory failure, which ended up leading Marie Fitzgerald to her death. Today you will hear medical experts testify about what it was that caused her death. You will see her death certificate, and you will see the causes of death listed on her death certificate. Today I want you to pay close attention to the evidence that you're presented with, and I want you to use your common knowledge whenever you're evaluating the weight of the testimony and of the evidence. Today, the jury is the trier of fact. The defense asks you to determine who it was that was responsible for Marie Fitzgerald's death. However, it's important to understand that St. Teresa is not on trial today. Yerba Buena is on trial. Today, we simply ask you to make sure and see if the prosecution can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Yerba Buena was responsible for Marie Fitzgerald's death. If the prosecution wants to find St. Teresa liable, they must bring another claim against St. Teresa. All we are asking you today is to determine whether or not Yerba Buena was responsible in Marie Fitzgerald's death. So again, the defense would like to ask you, if you start the ball rolling, are you always responsible for where it ends up? And I am sure that in the end, whenever my co-counsel gets up and delivers a closing matching the evidence to the elements, you will answer that question in the negative. Thank you.